When Michael first suggested the idea, he thought he was doing something kind. His work had been relentless lately. A never-ending stream of meetings, deadlines, and responsibilities that left him with little energy for much else. The topic of a vacation had come up casually over dinner one night, and he could tell that Vanessa's eyes lit up at the mere mention of it. They hadn't taken a proper trip together in years. Work had always come first. "Maybe you should go without me," he'd said, setting down his fork. "You deserve a break, and I'll only drag things down trying to keep up with emails." She hesitated at first, tilting her head with that skeptical look she always gave when something seemed too easy. But it didn't take much convincing. Michael had assured her it was fine, even suggesting she take her best friend, Lila, along. They both loved the beach, cocktails by the pool, lazy days soaking up the sun, maybe a little shopping. It would be perfect for them. He even offered to handle the logistics. Vanessa agreed with a smile that seemed just a bit too eager. Michael brushed off the nagging feeling that arose, chalking it up to overthinking. If she was happy, he figured that was all that mattered. So the plans were made. A week at a luxury resort on the Amalfi Coast. As he kissed her goodbye at the airport, he told himself this was a good decision. He could catch up on work, maybe squeeze in a round of golf, and she could return relaxed, refreshed, and with a renewed appreciation for their life together. A win-win. But as he watched her walk away, something felt off. He ignored it. A mix of fatigue and paranoia, he thought. For her part, Vanessa was ecstatic. The trip had come at the perfect time. Between Michael's long hours and their monotonous routine, life had felt increasingly dull. The idea of a week in paradise with Lila felt like breathing fresh air after being submerged for too long. What Michael didn't know, though, was that she wasn't just tired of their routine. She was tired of him, of the quiet, dependable way he always did everything right, even when it felt like he barely noticed her anymore. The vacation wasn't just an escape from the mundanity. It was an escape from her life with him. The Amalfi Coast was more beautiful than Vanessa could have imagined. Steep cliffs cascading into a turquoise sea, pastel-hued villas dotting the hillside, and the scent of lemon blossoms lingering in the air. From the moment they arrived at the resort, she and Lila slipped into vacation mode. Days were spent lounging by the infinity pool, sipping Aperol spritzes, and soaking in the Italian sun. Evenings were for glamorous dinners, lively conversation, and more wine than either of them was accustomed to drinking. Vanessa felt free. For the first time in years, the weight of her marriage seemed distant, like a life belonging to someone else. Lila, always the more adventurous of the two, had taken it upon herself to ensure they didn't waste a single moment. She persuaded Vanessa to join her at the resort's lively beach parties. At first, Vanessa resisted. She preferred the quieter moments of relaxation and introspection. But Lila wouldn't take no for an answer. It was at one of those parties, under strings of glowing lights and with music thumping in the background, that they met him. His name was Marco. He was the quintessential Italian dream. Deeply tanned, with wavy dark hair that glistened in the sea air, and a smile that seemed to carry the weight of promises unspoken. Lila was the first to catch his attention, striking up a conversation over cocktails. She was fluent in the art of flirtation, and it wasn't long before Marco was captivated. His easy charm, his laughter, it was all magnetic. Vanessa found herself drawn into their orbit, though she stayed cautious, nursing her drink and laughing politely at their banter. It wasn't until Lila, sensing an opportunity, casually introduced Marco to her that Vanessa felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in years. His gaze lingered on her just a moment too long, and when he smiled, it was as though the entire party faded away. Vanessa tried to remind herself that it was harmless. Just a vacation, just a drink, just a handsome man in a foreign country. But the connection felt immediate, electric. The next day, Marco found them on the beach. Lila waved him over like they were old friends, and he joined their group without hesitation. They spent the day together, talking and laughing, and Marco's attention slowly shifted from Lila to Vanessa. She tried to convince herself it was just the wine, the heat, the dreamlike quality of being far from home. But with every touch of his hand on hers, every shared glance, The lines she had drawn in her mind began to blur. By the third night, there was no denying it. She wanted him. It started with Marco offering to show them a local hidden gem, a secluded cove away from the tourist crowds. Lila, sensing the tension building between Vanessa and Marco, suddenly remembered she had made plans to go shopping in town, leaving Vanessa alone with him. That evening, as they stood under the glow of the setting sun, Marco leaned in and kissed her. Vanessa didn't resist. She told herself it was a fleeting indulgence, a small rebellion against a life that felt stifling and incomplete. But one kiss turned into more. They spent the night together in his villa, and for the first time in years, Vanessa felt alive. Marco was intoxicating, a reminder of everything she thought she had lost: passion, spontaneity, the thrill of being desired. As days passed, what had begun as a momentary escape deepened into an affair. They met in secret, always careful to keep up appearances in front of Lila. Vanessa knew it was reckless, but she couldn't stop. She told herself it was harmless, that it would all be left behind when she returned to her life with Michael. But part of her wasn't so sure. The evening was supposed to be a celebration, a casual get-together with close friends that Michael and Vanessa had hosted countless times before. Their home was alive with the hum of conversation, laughter echoing off the walls as guests mingled over drinks and hors d'oeuvres. Vanessa was in her element, radiant as she worked the room, drawing everyone into her orbit. Michael watched her from the corner of the living room, smiling at the sight of her animated gestures as she recounted a story. He'd always admired her ability to light up a room, but tonight something felt different. She seemed distracted, her laughter a touch too loud, her smiles quick to fade when she thought no one was looking. Lila, Vanessa's best friend and travel companion on her recent trip to the Amalfi Coast, had taken up residence near the bar. She was sipping a martini, her fourth or fifth of the night, judging by the way her cheeks glowed pink and her movements had grown looser. Michael had always liked Lila. She was bold and funny, though her sharp tongue could sometimes cut a little too deep. As the evening wore on, Lila sought Michael out. She leaned against the edge of the kitchen island, drink in hand, and gave him a sly smile. "You know, Michael," she said, her words slightly slurred but deliberate. "You're a lucky man." Michael chuckled. "I like to think so." Lila's gaze flickered toward Vanessa, who was laughing with a group of friends near the fireplace. "You two have the perfect life, don't you? The house, the parties, the marriage." Her tone shifted on the last word, loaded with an edge that Michael couldn't quite place. "What are you getting at, Lila?" he asked, his smile tightening. She waved a hand dismissively, taking another sip of her drink. "Oh, nothing. Just, I've been thinking about your trip lately." "Well, our trip." Michael felt a twinge of unease. He forced a light-hearted tone. "Sounds like you had a great time." "Vanessa hasn't stopped talking about it." Lila snorted softly. "Oh, I bet she hasn't." Her words lingered in the air, heavy with implication. Michael's brows furrowed. "Lila, if you've got something to say, just say it." She leaned in closer, the smell of vodka and perfume filling the space between them. "Let's just say your wife wasn't exactly the picture of wifely devotion while we were soaking up the sun." Michael straightened, his pulse quickening. "What's that supposed to mean?" Lila tilted her head, her eyes glittering with something between mischief and malice. "Oh, come on, Michael. You're a smart guy. You think Vanessa's glow is just from the Italian sun." "That's enough," Michael said firmly, his voice dropping. He glanced around, but the other guests were too engrossed in their conversations to notice. "You're drunk, Lila. You don't know what you're talking about." Her laugh was soft and bitter. "I know exactly what I'm talking about. I saw it with my own eyes." Michael's stomach turned, but he refused to let her see it. "This is ridiculous. Why would you even say something like that?" "Because you deserve to know the truth," she said, her voice lowering to a whisper. "If you don't believe me, fine. Come by my place tomorrow and I'll show you. I have proof. Video proof." Michael stared at her, his heart pounding in his chest. He wanted to dismiss her claims as drunken nonsense, but the conviction in her eyes rattled him. "I'm not doing this, Lila," he said, his voice clipped. "Go home and sleep it off." She smirked, finishing the last of her martini. "Suit yourself. But when you're ready to stop living in the dark, you know where to find me." Michael walked away, his mind spinning. He tried to focus on his other guests, on the laughter and warmth of the evening, but Lila's words lingered, echoing in his thoughts. That night, after the guests had gone and Vanessa had fallen asleep, Michael lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. He didn't want to believe Lila. He couldn't believe her. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted, and he knew it wouldn't stop growing until he confronted the truth. The next morning, against his better judgment, he texted Lila. When I knocked on Lila's door, I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around, to go back home and pretend this never happened. But I couldn't. Not after what she'd hinted at last night. Not with the doubt gnawing at me, relentless and unshakable. The moment she opened the door, I saw it in her eyes. Pity. It was the last thing I wanted to see. I told her to show me the proof without any small talk. My voice was firm, but inside, I was a mess. Nerves twisted so tightly I thought I might snap. She handed me the tablet, her fingers brushing mine. I didn't acknowledge it. My focus was on the screen, on the video that she had promised would tell me everything. And it did. The beachside bar came into view, glowing softly under strings of fairy lights. Vanessa was there, laughing, glowing in the way only she could. But then I saw him. The way he stood so close, the way his hand rested on her waist. It wasn't right. And the way she looked at him, I'd never seen her look at me like that. I watched them move to the dance floor, her body pressed against his. I tried to convince myself that maybe it was innocent, a fleeting moment taken out of context. But then the next clip started, and there was no denying it. He kissed her. She kissed him back. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My chest burned, my vision blurred. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just a kiss. It was intimacy, desire, betrayal. The kind of betrayal that cuts deep, like a jagged knife twisting inside you. I set the tablet down, my hands shaking. The air in the room felt heavy, suffocating. I tried to process what I'd just seen, but my mind wouldn't let me. All I could think about was the life we'd built, the trust, the love, and how easily she had thrown it all away. Lila's voice broke through the storm in my head. "I'm sorry, Michael," she said softly. "You didn't deserve this. I wish it wasn't true." I turned to look at her, and something snapped. It wasn't just the pain or the anger. It was the realization that I was nothing more than a fool in Vanessa's story. Placeholder. And here was Lila standing in front of me, telling me that she cared, that she'd seen me, truly seen me, in a way my wife clearly hadn't for years. Before I could stop myself, I stepped closer to her. "Why did you do this?" I asked, my voice low and trembling. "Because you deserve better," she said, her eyes searching mine. It was like the dam broke. All the anger, all the humiliation, all the heartbreak. It surged through me, wild and uncontrollable. Before I knew what I was doing, I closed the distance between us and kissed her. She froze for a moment, but then her hands found my face, and she kissed me back. It wasn't gentle or tender. It was raw, desperate, fueled by everything we both wanted to forget. We stumbled toward the couch, our movements frantic, clumsy. I didn't think about the consequences, didn't think about what this meant. All I knew was that in that moment, I needed to feel something other than pain. I needed to reclaim some part of myself that Vanessa had stolen. Clothes hit the floor. Her hands moved over me like she'd been waiting for this moment her entire life. And maybe she had. It was revenge, plain and simple. But it was also something else. A release, a way to drown the voice in my head screaming that my life was falling apart. When it was over, we lay there in silence, the weight of what we'd done settling over us. I stared at the ceiling, my mind spinning. The anger hadn't disappeared, but it had dulled, replaced by a numbness that I wasn't sure was any better. Lila turned to me, her voice hesitant. "Michael, are you okay?" I laughed bitterly.
No, Lila.
"I'm not okay," She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I need to go, I said, standing and gathering my clothes. Michael, wait. No. I cut her off, my voice firm. Whatever this was, it doesn't change anything. Her face fell, but she nodded, understanding. As I left her apartment, the reality of what had just happened hit me like a freight train. I had crossed a line, one I could never uncross. But then again, Vanessa had crossed hers first. I wasn't sure what came next. But one thing was certain. There was no going back. That evening, Michael sat in the living room, staring at the walls of the life he had built with Vanessa. The photo of their wedding day hung above the fireplace, a frozen moment of happiness that now felt like a cruel joke. He clutched a glass of whiskey, the burn in his throat doing little to quiet the storm inside him. Vanessa breezed in, her voice light as she greeted him. Hey honey, sorry I'm late. I slept with Lila. Michael interrupted, his voice cold and steady. Vanessa froze, her coat still half on. For a moment, she said nothing, her wide eyes locked on his. Then she laughed nervously, brushing it off like he'd made a bad joke. What are you talking about? I said, he repeated, standing and meeting her gaze. I slept with Lila today. I was at her apartment and we had sex. Her face crumpled, the laughter gone. You're lying, she said, her voice trembling. Am I? He asked, stepping closer. You think I'm not capable of it? After everything you've done? Her confusion turned to anger. What the hell are you talking about? What have I done, Michael? What are you accusing me of? He laughed bitterly, shaking his head. Don't play dumb, Vanessa. Not with me. I know about Marco. I've seen the videos. Lila showed me everything. Your cozy little dance at the bar, the kisses, the nights in his villa. So don't stand there and act like the victim. Vanessa's face drained of color. For a moment, she looked as if she might faint. Then her expression hardened. Lila? That bitch? You believe her over me? Michael's voice rose, his anger boiling over. Don't you dare turn this on her. She didn't kiss him, Vanessa. She didn't sneak around behind my back. That was you. You lied to me. You betrayed me. Vanessa's composure cracked, and she yelled back, her voice shrill. You want to talk about betrayal? You just admitted to sleeping with my best friend. Don't you dare lecture me about loyalty. Michael scoffed, shaking his head. Oh, so now you care about loyalty? That's rich, Vanessa. You threw this marriage away the moment you got on that plane. What I did with Lila, it was wrong, sure. But at least I wasn't the one who started this mess. Tears streamed down her face, but Michael didn't stop. He wanted her to feel the weight of what she had done, the same pain that had been suffocating him since he'd seen that video. I trusted you, he said, his voice quieter now but no less intense. I believed in us. And while I was here, working my ass off to give us a good life, you were off screwing some Italian stranger. Vanessa sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. It wasn't like that, she sobbed. It didn't mean anything. It was just, I felt so alone, Michael. You were always working, always distracted. I needed someone to see me. Michael barked out a laugh, bitter and sharp. To see you? Vanessa, I saw you. I always saw you. But instead of talking to me, instead of working on this marriage, you decided to destroy it. Her sobs grew louder, her shoulders shaking as she struggled to form words. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean for it to happen. Well, it did, Michael snapped. And now we're here. So what do we do next, Vanessa? Huh? What's your grand plan to fix this? Or are you too busy playing the victim to even think that far ahead? She looked up at him, her face streaked with tears, and whispered, Do you still love me? The question hit him like a punch to the gut. Did he? Could he? He didn't know anymore. He thought about the life they had shared, the memories they had built, and how it all felt tainted now. I don't know, he admitted, his voice breaking. I don't know if I can forgive this, Vanessa. I don't know if we can come back from this. She reached for him, but he stepped back, his hands clenched at his sides. Michael, please, she begged. I'll do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. Just don't give up on us. He closed his eyes, the weight of her words pressing down on him. He wanted to walk away, to leave her and this broken marriage behind. But a part of him, the part that still remembered the woman he had fallen in love with, hesitated. "I need time," he said finally. "Time to figure out what I want. Because right now, I don't know if I want this anymore." Vanessa nodded, her sobs quieting as she watched him walk out of the room. As Michael stood alone in the darkness of their bedroom, he realized that no matter what decision he made, things would never be the same. The marriage they had once shared was gone, shattered by betrayal. Whether or not it could be rebuilt was a question he wasn't ready to answer.